Welcome to Golden Blue Dude, everybody. How do y'all like the background? I think it's starting to. Hold on. Let me get out of the way for a second. It's a pretty good looking background, ain't it? And it's not because of me. It's because everybody keeps sending gear to represent their teams. We have over 24 mini helmets now. We got. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We have 12 pennants. Look, the circle. Seriously, look at the circle. It's like 3/4 of the way filled. That's crazy. That is awesome. If I sit at the right angle, I'm a peacock. Look at that, guys. I'm a peacock. I knew it all the time. I knew it. Anyways, if y'all haven't yet, make sure to hit the like button. Even if you don't like me or you don't like the video, it helps the video hit the YouTube algorithm, and it gets it suggested more people see it and click on it, and it grows the audience. So you're not just helping me, you're actually helping you because it brings in more people that you can trash talk to in the comments section. That's how you grow a video. If you have a specific comment or a question or a troll, you want to make fun of me, best way to get my attention is the super chat button. It's a little dollar sign you see on the bottom right hand corner, right underneath the comments. Anything that you put in the super chat, even if it's making fun of me, we appreciate your donation so much and your support so much that I will put it on the screen and I will read it, even if you're making fun of me. It's all good. Proper introduction for, you guessed it, Shooter. What's going on, buddy?
Hey, doing pretty well. How about you, man?
Can't complain, man. I wasn't feeling great yesterday, but I'm good today. I don't talk about what I have a lot, Crohn's and spondylitis. Yesterday was a little bit of a flare-up day, but it's part of it. I've gotten used to it. I'm good today. Tomorrow's Friday. Kids don't go to school, so that's going to be fun tomorrow because we're having a tropical storm and high winds. The bus drivers are afraid they're going to tip over and stuff. So no school. Well, no in-person school. They'll be doing schoolwork online, so that's going to be a fun day tomorrow. What about you? How's it going over there in Texas?
Oh, Texas is dry as hell. I wish we could get that rain. It's kind of the opposite situation, but
I hear you.
Man, your background is smoking. My Lord,
not bad, is it? It's not bad.
Yeah, it's growing fast.
The Baylor helmet that was sent, the white one. I'm trying to get the glare off. Where's the there we go. I like it. Now, don't get me wrong. I like the blue and the yellow ones, but this one right here, the white with the green, it's my favorite Baylor one.
Nice. Very nice. I was actually going to send one to you, but
hey, it doesn't matter. If you want to send the green one or an alternate, hey, that works too. So, look, quick count. I want to see how well the conferences are represented. I think the Big 12 is actually – I have the most of the Big 12. I actually got a second West Virginia helmet. I don't know. This is actually the Country Roads edition. This is what we wore in the backyard brawl. It's got the state, and then it looks like little lightning streaks, but that's actually the actual roads in West Virginia. And I have an Ed Oliver signed, see it right there, signed mini helmet from Houston. So those are the two helmets that I'm not going to open because those are kind of your rare ones. But, okay, so for the Big 12, we're not going to count extras. I am going to count the autograph and count Houston in with the Big 12. So that's for the Big 12, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, that's the most because the ACC has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the ACC is second right now, believe it or not. So SEC, y'all are dropping the ball. You only have 1, 2, 3. Wow, I thought I had more than 3. Wow. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, only 3 SEC. That's a shame. That's a shame. All right, anyways, enough with my background. So what do you think about this situation with the Pac-12? Man, I understand the art of negotiation and you're trying to get the most out of money. ESPN is holding firm. I think it's like 750 or 800 million total is the deal. They're basically saying that each team is worth around 18 million apiece. They might have to do uneven revenue shares so that they can keep Oregon and Washington longer, but it's not looking good. The negotiations are not looking good. They want 1.5 billion, which is laughable. I mean, even the Big Ten's not pulling that in. So what are they thinking? What are they thinking over there?
Yeah, there's been a problem of overvaluation, just thinking too highly of them. There's a lot of good brands, but the big problem is they're stuck in one time zone.
Yeah.
And you just can't draw that much money when you're at the end of the day. So,
right.
I honestly, each one of those schools would do better if they could join the Big Ten, the Big 12, and spread themselves out a little bit with some central time zone, some east time zone. Honestly, they would do better, but there's not enough room for all of them to join. And you've talked about it, Washington State, Oregon State, they're most likely going to get left out. And that really sucks for them. But yeah, it's just the nature of the beast. We're moving into these weird mega conference days, and it's the way it is. It's unfortunate, but
yeah. And not only are they stuck in one time zone, but it's not a good time zone as far as getting an audience for your football brands. They're over on the West Coast, and Pac-12 at night. I don't watch it because I'm a diehard college football fan, but most of your average college football fans are not staying up till 1 a.m. to watch the ending of a Pac-12 game. They're not even gonna watch the beginning of a 10:30 kickoff. So, I mean, there's nothing they can do about that. But what they should have done is expand a little more towards the east. Try to get more teams, where the Big 12 is located, or even further out. Possibly go coast to coast. I know the logistics might be a nightmare or whatever, but it's better than going down with the ship.
Yeah, they screwed up. They had that chance last year and they didn't take it, and that's on them. I mean, they could have taken Iowa State, they could have taken Kansas State and Kansas. They had a choice. They had a lot of choices, but they didn't take it, and now they're paying for it. I hate to say, but
yeah. Joey, what's going on, buddy?
Oh, hey, Joey.
Oh, not a lot. I was reading an article today. It said, something about the Pac-12 could collapse if the Big Ten expands more. And I think we know that Big Ten is going to expand more. I don't know when it'll be, but that they're going to eventually take Washington and Oregon. I'm pretty sure of that. Maybe even some ACC teams. So.
Well, what I didn't realize was they had that escalating clause in their contract, meaning if they expand, they can actually draw more money out of, Fox and ESPN, depending on the value of the brand. And I think the two biggest brands, of course, would be Oregon and Washington. And I think Stanford, and I don't know about Cal, although I think the reason why the Big Ten wants Cal so much is because a lot of people don't realize is Big Ten shares resources, right? What's yours is mine. What's mine is yours. And Cal's research is the best, not one of the best, the best, number one in the nation.
Yeah.
And the Big Ten wants to get their hands on that research material. And of course, if they bring in Cal, that's exactly what's going to happen. So there's a big draw. Cal's not a big draw in football, but Cal is a big draw when it comes to research and academics. That's why they want Cal.
My only problem with all that is I don't know that they really want Oregon, to be honest with you.
That's fair.
I mean, Washington's got a lot of research. It's Seattle. So there's a lot of reason to take Washington, but I wouldn't be too shocked if they just took Washington and maybe Cal or Stanford, get a little Bay Area, get a lot of research, get a lot of academics. But Oregon doesn't give them academics. I mean, not to those levels. Doesn't give research, not to those levels. And it certainly doesn't have market presence. So, because the state of Oregon's great and all. And it's a brand, I'll give you that. But, man, I just don't know. I could see them take Washington, take one other, and then sit back and see what happens.
Yeah.
That's possible.
I agree with that. And I think what could help Oregon is if Washington is like, hey, you get us, you get Oregon as well. So it could be a type of situation where Big Ten might not have a choice if Washington sticks up for Oregon. They want to keep playing Oregon, a nice travel partner. And it's not like you're taking bottom of the barrel. I mean, Oregon is a good brand. I know they're not like the biggest draw in the world, but it's not like you're having to take, slime off the bottom of your shoe and accepting that. So, if it's that situation, I do think Oregon does get in. And I do think there is some draw to them. But to your point, Shooter, I think, what's the best way to put this? I think Oregon is actually punching above their level, if that makes any sense. People think that they're this massive brand, and it's because of the way that they've put themselves out there. They've marketed themselves geniusly. They've made people think that they are a national brand, that they are one of the biggest fan bases in the nation. They are affiliated with Nike. That is a fact. That's helped as well. So the way that Oregon has marketed themselves, wonderful, 100%. And that's what's given them the persona that everybody thinks that they're, one of the biggest brands in the nation when they're not. They're punching above their weight. That's what I meant to say.
They're trying to.
Yeah. Aaron Alley, thank you for the $2 donation. Says, hi, how are y'all? We're doing great talking. Hey, anytime that we're doing a live stream and we're able to talk to each other, I consider all of us friends, even everybody in the chat, and talk some college football and, just hang out, forget about the troubles and stresses of the day. I'd say that's having a good day right there. What would you have to say about that?
Yep, I agree.
Yes.
I know, I enjoy sitting here talking to everybody and reading the chat and having fun with everyone.
Absolutely. 100%.
Just to respond to something in the chat, one of the guys was saying that the Pac-12 is not good, and then somebody said they're better. Hey, they are a lot better this year. I have to admit. Oregon State won some games. Washington won some games. So, I'm happy that they are better. But, you were talking earlier about Pac-12 after dark. I will stay up and watch a game, but if it gets out of hand, I'll go to bed. I don't stick around for the whole thing. If it's a blowout, I just turn it off. But
it's too late for that.
I'll
nonsense,
say this about the Pac-12. I'll say this about the Pac-12. I don't know who said that, but all you have to do is realize that BYU beat Baylor, who's probably one of the better teams in the Big 12, and then BYU got their butt handed to them by Oregon. So
yes, I agree.
Did not see that coming.
I didn't. Well, I did pick Oregon to win that game because that's a tough road environment. But BYU was not mentally prepared at all. They got outplayed, outcoached. Offense, defense, special teams across the board. That was a solid beatdown by Oregon. That I did not expect. I expected Oregon to win in a close game, but not a blowout. They basically blew out BYU, hands down.
Yeah.
Todd Guy, what do you think about all this?
BYU doesn't have.
I want to ask you point blank, Todd Guy. How much longer do you think the Pac-12 exists? Years. Give me a number.
7.
7 more years. And why is that?
7 more years. It'll hold through to at least 2030.
Okay.
Nothing done before then. Articles I read earlier and quoted. But in 2 of those articles, if you read them closely, Fox has already said there's no more money. Even though they're not going to no more money at this time. So they're hoping they got to get their money from an outside. And I don't see any outside source offering the kind of money.
Well, I think, and that's one of the reasons why people started talking again is because the Big Ten is working with Amazon to get a nice deal going. So that could be your supplementary income to try to bring in some more teams. And then what happens then when you do bring those teams in, you could, figure out how much you're generating and then renegotiate with Fox. Say, hey, look at what we made for you when we brought in USC, UCLA, Oregon, and Washington. There's a big gap between what we're making you and what we're getting paid. So it's almost like a step-by-step situation that could happen. And Amazon is a big part of that because that's a secondary line of income. Let me get to Aaron Alley's super chat real quick. Aaron Allen, thank you for the $5 donation. I'm going to the Houston Tulane game. It's going to be fun. And also follow that up. I say 6. So she's good. They're going with 6 years. So what's the difference between 6 and 7?
The 6 will get them through 2029, and that's when everything's supposed to be up. So really, Todd Guy was saying 2030. That's probably about the same period, 29, 30. But Aaron Alley, I know it's going to be fun at the game. I know it's going to be fun at the game there, Aaron Alley, but unfortunately, I think Tulane is going to beat Houston, so I don't know how much fun it'll be for you.
And here's the thing, okay? I am not – I hope that Houston fans aren't taking what me and Joey have said about Dana Holgerson personally. This is not about Houston. This is about Dana Holgerson, and this is specifically about Dana Holgerson being able to fool people to get the money that he wants. And that's exactly what he did to Houston. Now, what a lot of people are overlooking with Dana Holgerson is he actually asked West Virginia for a raise, and they were like, why? Why would we give you a raise? You haven't won a conference championship. We haven't finished ranked more than, 1 or 2 years? And we've had playoff teams, and you couldn't get us to the playoffs. So he's like, all right, bye-bye. I'm going to Houston where I will get that money. That did happen. And then, of course, last year you went 12-2. And, yeah, that's a great season. But look at, who you played, a bunch of East Carolinas, Tulsas, and all that. And the decent teams that you did play, you got your butts handed to you. And it's because Dana Holgerson doesn't recruit. He likes to use the transfer portal. And the 2018 team was a great example of when it does come all together, when it does, come together, it's great. But he could still only squeeze out 8 teams. That was a playoff team. But he never focuses on defense. So every year, every game, if your offense has an off game, you lose because he doesn't care about defense. He's going to try to beat teams, 50-49 or, some crazy score like that. So if the offense is having an off game, that is an L for whatever team he's coaching. Dana Holgerson would make a great offensive coordinator for somewhere. If Houston fires him and he can't find a head coaching job somewhere else, which he probably won't, they're starting to see, a pattern here. He will get hired as an offensive coordinator, and he will do fantastic because he is an offensive guru. He really is. I do 100% agree with that, but I just don't think he's head coaching material, and that's a Dana Holgerson thing. That's not a Houston thing.
Yep, that's right.
Aaron Alley says, "Am not." I agree. So that Houston fan not mad at us. They agree. Also says, "Yeah, we got the tickets for free." Hey, that's the best price in the world right there. That's you can't beat free unless they start giving you money for tickets. I mean, that's the only way you beat that.
UCLA might be doing that this week. They need some fan support.
Gosh.
If UCLA can't get fan support this week for this game, I don't know. I mean, because there's a big problem because I mean, Washington coming to town. It's time to pack that stadium with UCLA fans. The game's at night, so they can't complain about the heat.
This is undefeated versus undefeated.
Yeah.
But keep in mind, tomorrow is the first game that the students are in class. So you're going to have, 10 to 15,000 students there. So, I mean, that's going to make a huge difference.
I don't understand that. Why do they wait so late to get the students in?
Because some colleges go by quarters. And so they just got done with what's considered the third quarter. So they get a big break.
Gotcha.
You know how like some schools today are going with year round. That's kind of how, they do it. They break it down where they get 4 smaller breaks instead of the whole summer off.
Yeah. I gotcha. Yeah, they're actually they're not quite doing that here in this county, but they did shorten the summer break and they just give us a bunch of mini breaks during the school year. So, but that's still weird. So the first 4 regular season games, the students were not even there. That's crappy. Like that's crapping on your football team right there. That's just my opinion, but Run your school the way you want to. I have no say in that. So with the students being back, this being a night game, undefeated versus undefeated, 2 questions. Number 1, do you think UCLA manages to pack it out? If not, give me a percent. 2, who do you think wins? I'm going to start with Todd Guy. Do they fill it? If not, give me the percent that they fill it to, and who wins?
They're not going to fill it. It'll be probably 65, 75% full, I would say.
Okay.
And there's no doubt in my mind Washington's going to beat UCLA this week.
All right. Let's see. Shooter.
Yeah, I wouldn't even want to guess on the on how packed out or not packed out. I mean,
45% with the students.
The past few weeks have looked so terrible.
Yeah, 18,000 last week. 18,000 in a 90,000 seat stadium. That's not a good look at all.
I would love it if they could at least get 50%. I mean, I know it's a stadium, but as far as who's going to win, yeah, I'd put money on Washington, quite honestly. They just look really good this year. And
gotcha.
I feel like they've got a pretty balanced team, too. So, I like it.
Well, what about you, Joey?
I think there'll be 35,000 there. I think there'll be 30,000 UCLA fans. So that'll be 1/3 of the stadium. And then 5,000 Washington fans, maybe more than that. But I think it'll be about 30% full. And Washington will win the game.
All right. And finally, I saved our Pac-12 guy for last. He knows this more than we do. How full do they get the Rose Bowl tomorrow, and who wins?
I think Joey's about right. All right. So the students are back. If the students are back, you're probably looking about 30,000 in that range.
Okay.
The Huskies will win. I had on my show, we had them winning big. So
okay. So let me ask. Let me make sure everybody's including Washington fans. Let's remember, this is a battle between 2 undefeated teams. Washington is ranked. It's at night. Can Washington perhaps get the percentage up to around, 70, 80%?
Nah, I don't think they will. I think, like I said, I'm looking for Washington to have 5,000 fans there. They might have 8,000 fans there. That's what
I
I'm
think
figuring.
15 at minimum. If the attendance for UCLA is as low as you're suggesting, I think they get 15,000 Washington fans at minimum.
Well, and you got to remember, LA there are a lot of Washington alums in Los Angeles. So I mean, it's not like they're all coming down from Seattle. That's
well, and plus, getting there, you're going from one major airport, Seattle, to another, Los Angeles. I mean, the travel's not really brutal.
Getting out to Pasadena is not exactly LA. Well, I mean, it is. But the traffic can be brutal, but not on a Saturday morning. So no, you're gonna be fine. But the thing is that we hear a lot of, you're talking about the percentage of the stadium full. We should be talking about like raw numbers, because you have a 90,000 seat stadium. I mean, how many teams in the Big 12 are going to pack a 90,000 person stadium?
Hold on. You know what? That's a good question. 90,000.
UT, that's the only one.
In this particular, so we got to take everything into account. In this particular circumstance, okay, night game, undefeated versus undefeated. So let's go through it. We already know Oklahoma and Texas would do it. I think Iowa State would. Not Kansas State. I think Oklahoma State would. Theirs is close to 70,000 or 65,000. So that's approaching, and they have a big fan base. I don't think TCU would. No offense, Baylor fans, but I don't think you would right now. That's just too big of a stadium for you right now. Texas Tech, I think Texas Tech could. I really do.
90,000.
Jones AT&T Stadium is bigger than people realize. It's over 60,000. They have a huge alumni. For a big game like this, I think Texas Tech would. So that's what, one.
Well, here's the thing, Blue Dude. Iowa State would not pack a 90,000 stadium.
I think they would. If they were undefeated and it was at night, this is a home game. Jack Trice is
60,000.
60,000. Okay, so
yeah, there's not another 30,000 fans in the Ames area, believe me.
Or Iowa.
Yeah, I'm telling. I lived just outside of Ames for a while. You're not packing 90,000 at Ames.
Aaron Allen, thank you for the $5 donation. Says, how do you like your University of Houston mini helmet? I love it. I mean, it's freaking signed. That's one of the 2 mini helmets that I've gotten so far that I'm not taking out of the package. And then one more super chat. Fester, I still have your shirt, Fester. I'm going to pick a special time to wear it. Thank you for the donation. I see the WV helmet was delivered today. Thank you. There was no note. I knew somebody told me that they were sending the Country Roads West Virginia mini helmet, and I was drawing a blank. There was no note, so I will go into the community and correct that because I was drawing a blank. So thank you for reminding me.
Yeah.
Anyways,
go back to UCLA. UCLA, you're saying a big game. There really is against Washington. You know, Washington's having a great season, but nobody at UCLA is going to get hyped up for a Washington game. You say that UCLA is undefeated, yeah, but they've beaten who have they beaten? So the fans know that they're not they're 4-0 on paper, but they're not a 4-0 team. And they've got Utah at home coming. So you have the number 15 Washington Friday. Sorry, it's a Friday night game. And now you talk about Friday night traffic in Los Angeles. Okay, now that is a problem. Saturday during the day is not a problem. Friday at night, yeah, that's going to be. And I don't even know if the other Dodgers playing at home. I haven't looked at the schedule.
I don't know.
So you're looking at traffic, Psychoville. But then why don't you wait with your family and go see Utah, number 12 Utah come to town? I think that's a much bigger game. And then the following week of that, they have Oregon coming to town. So to say that this is the big game, this is really not a big game for UCLA.
This is a fair question right here. Aaron Alley, thank you for the donation, says, can you tell me why college football teams do I'm going to add a word in there. Some games on Friday instead of Saturday. And I've noticed, I don't know if it was before this year or before last year, most of the time Friday night games consisted of, the MAC, Mountain West, basically group of 5 teams. But over the past year or so, we're starting to see Power 5 teams play on Friday night. What made that, especially, I mean, this is a big matchup. I know UCLA isn't really a 4-0, but they are. Washington's ranked on a Friday night. Why Friday night?
Money.
It's all about network power and money. But going way back, I remember seeing ACC games during the week. That was the first Power 5 I can remember.
ACC's on Thursday nights. Not sure about Friday nights, but definitely Thursday. We played actually. The Backyard Brawl was on a Thursday night.
Part of it,
and Virginia Tech.
I think part of it too
and
is,
Baylor.
Baylor's played Thursday nights and Friday nights, but I think a big part of it is honestly for the Pac-12, it's better exposure because you get Thursday night games, Friday night games for the Pac-12. There's no competition. You draw a lot bigger numbers, a lot more eyeballs. I'll watch it. I'll watch a Friday night college game. I don't even care who's playing.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
This might surprise you. This might actually downright shock you. I will not be watching that game tomorrow. Do you know why? We are actually having a hocus pocus night as a family. Because the second one comes out, and we always watch the first one around Halloween, so we're just going to do a marathon. So no college football. Family first, guys. Family first. So y'all will have to tell me how it went down.
Well,
instead of the other way around.
W show tomorrow night.
You know what? I forgot. No, I'm not, and I forgot to tell Mark. So that's going to be interesting. But he said he was going to host, so maybe him and D4 can.
And I will announce to everybody we're going to have Adrian Morrell on the show as well.
Yes. Is that on the Friday show?
Huh?
Is that on the Friday show?
It's on the Friday show. It's on tomorrow night,
okay.
Right?
Right,
Adrian Morrell will be on there.
And the other problem with the Friday night game for UCLA is the Dodgers are at home.
Yeah,
and they're trying to set a record right now. The Dodgers are so.
Yeah, they're World Series contenders for sure. And Aaron Alley says the U of H game is as well. So Houston playing Tulane, also a Friday night. So that should be fun. I think that's going to be a shootout because Tulane is a lot better than people realize. A couple of weeks ago, they actually went on the road and beat Kansas State. So Houston, I think Houston's capable of beating Tulane. But if they don't play their A++ game, Tulane could come in there and beat them. Holgerson better get his head out of his rear end is what he needs to do. Start coaching some defense. Seriously.
All these games are kind of reminding me of, like, what was that year? 2007, 2008, whatever that was.
07.
07, yeah.
Oh, yeah. 07. Crazy year.
We're having some weird upsets. I mean, K-State losing to Tulane, turns around and beats OU at home.
Yeah.
What is that?
Well, the biggest difference between this year and 2007 is 2007 is known for the curse of number 2. And unfortunately for a West Virginia fan, guess who was the last number 2 left standing? West Virginia. So we got the last bit of the curse, and that's what, we lost to Pitt 13-9. So it was the number 2 team didn't lose every week, but almost every week. I don't think a 2 team won for more than 2 weeks in a row, maybe 3 weeks, but that would be the limit. I mean, it was crazy. It was nuts. Aaron Alley says, I'm going to the game with my family. Hey, that's a good combo right there. So you're watching college football and you're having a family night. I have no complaints with that. What about y'all? Y'all have any complaints with that?
Nope.
Don't know how to do it.
My kids are growing up, so
I hear you.
Every Saturday is mine now. But I remember those days.
Are you serious? Your kids are grown up?
Oh yeah, they're out of the house.
Wow. I would have, dude. You do not. I am not trying to flatter you or anything, but you do not look old enough to have grown up kids.
Hey, Chris, I'm married, so stop trying to pick up on me. It's getting embarrassing.
Sadly, most of the talk shows I go on, we do the talks, and that my daughters are older than most of the guys on the show.
Yeah, that's how my kids are too. My kids are older than most people that are on.
And Joe, do you have the StreamYard link?
I do.
Sergeant Pickles. If you can copy and paste it and put it in the comments, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Sergeant Pickles wanting to get in. Anyways, so I think Washington needs to win that game because the Pac-12 needs a dominant team. And if UCLA wins, I would call it a fluke. And that hurts the Pac-12 because I think Washington is one of the stronger teams. Is anybody thinking about that aspect as far as UCLA pulling off an upset and hurting the Pac-12? Because I think it would.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think this is the year the Pac-12 makes the playoffs. A one-loss team in the Pac-12 is going to go to the playoffs this year.
Yeah, it's most likely to be Utah.
I agree with that.
Now, remember, Utah has to win out because they've already picked up their one loss. But you still have USC and Washington who are undefeated. Oregon, of course, they already have one loss, but it's the best loss you can have, even though you got blown out. So technically, Oregon and Utah are still in it, but they have to run the table. So I think the pressure is more on Washington and USC to only lose one game, and that means Washington. That goes to my point earlier. That means Washington can't lose tomorrow because they should absolutely pound UCLA. They are head and shoulders the better team, but if they slip up and fall, that's their one loss right there. So they have to beat Oregon. I think they play. Do they play USC this year? Does Washington play USC?
This is Utah and USC, and USC misses Washington and Oregon. So
they cannot afford this loss if they lose tomorrow. They can't afford it at all. Fester, thank you for the $5 donation. Fester says, we'll see you at the Baylor game, section 128. Well, it depends on what happens tomorrow. I'm not saying whether we win or lose, but just how we look. Even if we lose, how we look in that loss. So, tentatively, yes.
I was going to say if UCLA can beat Washington, I don't think it hurts the Pac-12, so to say, because we still wouldn't know. We'll even know then that UCLA is a pretty good team.
I think it'll be a fluke.
Maybe they're one of them. But I'm not saying they're going to win it. I'm just saying that.
Yeah.
Then we would know how good UCLA really is.
You said it was an 8-4 last year. I think they'll be at 8-4 again this year. They're good. They're a good, solid team, but they're not going to be top of the table. And it would be really. I'm a bit surprised. I think that line has dropped down just simply because the people are putting too much stock in the fact that the big win, the Michigan, they're taking a lot of shine off the Michigan State win because of Michigan State struggles, but that doesn't take away from the play on the field that you've seen, with Penix and DeBoer's offense. And who's the name of the receiver, Pickles?
Either Roma Dunze or Jalen
McMillan. That guy, they got something special going on. I don't know how many touchdowns that guy has, but every time I look on, I try to watch the games, but usually the games have been on when I'm watching other games. And every time I look up, it's Penix to McMillan for a touchdown, especially that first couple of weeks.
Jalen Polk was the one with 3 touchdowns in the Michigan game. And they have 3 top level receivers that can all, go deep for one.
Yeah, McMillan got the first deep ball early in the game. I remember that.
So that isn't UCLA. In UCLA, they got a veteran team, right? They got everybody back from last year, pretty much.
Yeah, they're mostly seniors.
Yeah.
They've had some turnover on the lines.
Yeah, I was about to say key positions, like skill positions, yes. In the trenches, that's where they're a little iffy.
But is it really a good thing to have a bunch of guys that are fifth-year seniors? Because here's what I'm going to say. You're right. So you have men playing against boys, right? You have 23-year-old guys playing against 19-year-olds. Okay, let's say that.
Right.
But if a guy's hanging around 4, 5, 6 years and not going to the NFL, what does that say about the quality of that player? That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Well, it also depends on injuries and, if they want to use that COVID thing or whatever. So I guess it depends on the situation. If they played and, they don't have a reason to leave because the NFL won't take them, then you're absolutely right. But if they've had injuries, but they do have interest in the NFL and they're trying to improve their stock, it's too different. It depends on what side of the line they fall as far as that goes.
I got to hop on the soapbox for a second, specifically about all these people waxing poetic on Chip Kelly. Not so much in this chat, but just in general.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, Chip Kelly, he's so great. It's like, you guys are living in 2011, 2012 Oregon land. He is 17-18 in conference since he took over. He hasn't won more than 4 conference games except for 1 year, last year. He had 3 real crap seasons. And everyone's saying, well, he got it together now. He's got the same level of recruiting he always has. Yeah, they're off to a great start. And I actually think this will be a close game. But everyone's saying, oh, Chip Kelly's going to get him motivated. He'll make the difference. Yeah, not even close. Apparently, it takes 5 years for him to finally motivate him.
It took Chip Kelly to get to year 4 in order to get a non-conference win. I mean, and in the non-conference.
I didn't even realize that. Wow.
Was it right? This is his 5th year or 4th year?
His 5th year.
I think it's 5th.
I thought it was
last year was the first year. They won a couple of non-conference games, but the first
COVID,
3 years,
5th, yeah.
He had a losing record his first 3 seasons.
He couldn't beat. We're not talking. He wasn't playing Georgia, on the road. He was playing some really bad teams, and he was losing. So, I said the shine's come off Chip Kelly. I mean, I'm talking to Chris TBM, saying you guys got to get rid of that guy because there's no reason why UCLA is recruiting like they are. It blows my mind.
UCLA has got a lot of problems, and strangely, Chip Kelly's not even at the top of the list.
They got to recruit better on the line is one of the biggest problems. I don't know what. And the crazy thing is, he was actually known for recruiting well on the lines of scrimmages at Oregon, but for whatever, he's like thrown that to the wayside at UCLA. Either that or people on the offense and defensive line just don't want to go there. I don't know. This kind of coincides with that. Aaron Alley, a Houston fan, says the sad thing is Houston has the talent, just like UCLA, except for the line, but coaching doesn't match. I think there's a bigger discrepancy at Houston, but I think that also applies at UCLA. Like it's all about name recognition with Chip Kelly, not what has he actually done.
Yeah. Houston has a really nice benefit too, is that the academic standards are low and they're sitting right in one of the best places to get linemen, both sides of the ball. And so there's just no excuse for them to get pushed around on the line. It should be a pretty easy place to put together a 10-win season, especially in the American. But whatever.
Well, and one thing about the Pac-12, one thing about the Pac-12, I don't know if you guys noticed today, but they put out the predictions of making the playoffs this year. It's the first time they put them out. USC is 6 overall, but they're number 1 in the Pac-12. They've got a 27% chance right now. And the only other team from the Pac-12 on it right now is Washington at 4%.
You know,
no, Utah has 7%. I'm sorry, I forgot Utah.
You know, I think a big problem is people are not used to parity. I mean,
yes,
I think the Pac-12 suffers from that. I think the Big X and the SEC both suffer from that. But, you know, the Big 12, a lot of people are used to parity in the Big 12, and we've got that in spades. But now you're seeing all these other conferences where you can't just say it's going to be a blowout game every week, or there's all these upsets and surprises. And I think the Pac-12 has a lot of that this year because I think they have more good teams and a lot more parity than they've had in the past. I mean, look at Oregon State. They're building up something there. Washington's putting something on the field. So, you know, I would not be shocked to see all 4 of the teams in the playoffs with at least one loss. Honestly.
Yeah, to your point, Shooter. I saw a lot of comments. I got a lot of messages and tweets about how everybody was shocked at week 4 because there was way more parity in that 1 week than we've seen in the past 2 or 3 years. And I'm hoping that trend continues because if you think about it, that's one of the great things about college football. We don't want it to turn into the NFL. Where dynasties are born and stuff like that. We want parity from week to week. So, and Todd Guy, I know Alabama fans, it's all about the natty, and that's what you're used to. But the rest of college football needs for Alabama to be upset every once in a while. And I know last year there was Texas A&M, and you didn't win the national championship. But for the most part, it's been Alabama, and then you rotate in and out Georgia, Ohio State, Clemson, Oklahoma, and whoever else you want to rotate in and out. So I'm all for parity. I loved week 4, and I hope it continues.
Well, and I'm the Bama fan, but I'll be honest with you, and I've said this numerous times. I want parity. I want the Blue Bloods back. I'm tired of winning by 30. I'm tired of, kind of walking through the season and just I want the games to be close again. I want, nail biters. I want to see, right now we got a 4-team playoff. I want all 4 of them with a chance to win instead of going in, number 1's going to win, number 2's going to win. And especially when we get to a 12-team playoff, I don't want teams 6 through 12 to not be good. I want those I want the first round games of you want to get the first round bye because you could get your butt kicked in the first round if you don't have that bye.
Exactly. And that's why I like the expansion because I've come to terms, and I've said this multiple times, I've come to terms that the Final Four might be the same every year. But if that gives us parity in other games before we get to that, bring it on. So be it. I'm going to, Tim, I'm going to let you respond to this. You already see it, but I'm going to put it on the screen. The first thing that I noticed about this this message right here is from Jimmy Touchdown. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the other day, didn't he say he was never super chatting again?
Well, he actually said he was going to charge back like he does on all the shows, by the way.
Okay. Yeah, he'll charge them all back.
And I mean, $2, what was that, Chris? $1.50 in your pocket or whatever, or $1.25 in your pocket. The point is Jimmy Touchdown, thank you for making an ass of yourself as always. The JUCO directional school is number 6 in the country. So just go chew on that for a little while and go cry. Go cry to mama, buddy.
Why does he have it out for you? I'm just wondering, like, is it just because he doesn't like USC or like what did I miss?
No clue. The guy clearly has no life. I have no idea. Idea whatsoever.
He zeroed in on you and Golden Blue Dude, if you keep allowing him to come on your show, I ain't supporting you anymore. Okay. Have a good life.
I'd love to see how many actual dollars made it to you, Chris. This guy goes on and says, that was an accident. I didn't charge that to YouTube. I mean,
and what's funny, Tim, was I went back after him and then he blamed you for it.
Oh, everything's Tim's fault.
I was the one who attacked him back and stood up for you, and then he blamed you for everything that I said.
Yeah. It's all
again, though, you guys. We just spent 3 minutes on a totally irrelevant human being. I don't know why we just did it again.
I
sucked
agree.
us in. He
I
sucked
agree.
us in. Well, that's my fault. That's my fault. My bad.
No,
guys.
it's all right. Yeah, thank you for
Aaron
thank
Allen-
you for the $2. Now bye. There you go.
Round 718. Jimmy touchdown wins.
Hey, GBD. So give me some hope on this weekend with West Virginia, man. I want to throw the horns down, but I mean, give me some hope.
Yeah, no, there's hope. There's actually a lot of hope. I have Texas winning because they have the talent. I mean, they have more talent than we do. But if you look at all the stats, and I'm actually going to put out a video on this tomorrow. I'm in the process of editing, but if you look at the stats, West Virginia, more points per game. Texas allows a little bit fewer points, but we played far better offenses, not teams, but offenses. And if you compare offense to offense, more total yards by far, more passing yards, close to West Virginia, rushing yards, landslide West Virginia. And it's the defensive numbers that really have me having some hope in this game. I have some hope. There's the stats right there. I mean, look at the defense is the biggest thing.
I stole that from
I'm going to hide David's
from
super chat just for a second, and I'll bring it back up. So it's that 38. Look on your left side, guys, bottom for West Virginia. That's how much we allow. 38.3 rushing. Texas allows 135. I think the key to this game will be Graham Harrell's game plan for this. If he game plans into this wanting to air it out and go, I don't know, 50-40 rush to pass, then we might lose this game. But if he decides to run the ball more, I think West Virginia has an excellent shot of beating Texas. I think that's where we can beat Texas is in the running game.
Can I ask you a question about these numbers, though? Something don't make sense to me.
Okay.
If you look at the West Virginia defense, right?
Right.
You guys are giving up 302.8 yards per game. 204.5 passing,
I was looking at that.
38.3 rushing. When you add those together, where's the extra?
I know. I was looking at that as myself.
So that rushing yard is probably a little bit higher. Probably around 100. That still.
All right. So here's what I think. I believe that because this was put together by D4. I kind of ripped that off of D4, and I think he's put the wrong number in there. I think we're allowing 63 rushing yards a game. I think it is, not 33.
And the total isn't over 300.
And the total should come down a little. Yeah,
right.
I mean, and even 63 is an awesome number at rushing. Don't get me wrong, but I was just curious if that was a typo that the total yards should be down.
Well, when I looked at that, I was like, it makes sense because I knew we stopped Pitt. I knew Kansas, we had a little issues with stopping the run, but we absolutely shut down Virginia Tech. They had 20, 30, something like that. So, I mean, even though it looked crazy, it made sense. But since you brought it up, and I know D4 did it, it's probably more between 60 and 70.
Yeah.
I'm getting a feedback on somebody. Anyways, David did come to bat for you, Tim. Says, Tim is our favorite Trojan. Leave him alone, Jimmy. Even as a Sooner fan, I don't hate the guy. Exactly. He is the best. He's the number one Trojan fan. That is my fan. Or that is my opinion. And Jimmy Touchdown donates again. Anyways.
Well, the best thing about YouTube is, again, if you talk to people that I'm speaking with the most on YouTube, they're Duck fans. They're Irish fans. They're Husky fans. They're, let's say, Sooners. These strange bedfellows that we have. You Bruins with Chris. Chris, one of my best friends on here. Chris, TBM. I mean, these are people that get it. These are people that are college football fans. On Saturday, we hate each other's teams. We go for it. But then we have some kind of humanity to us. And I'm not sure if it's because we come from a better world, or we had better upbringing. Realize that just because someone wears, an insignia on their forehead, it doesn't mean anything other than the fact that they follow a certain school. So some people get it, and some people don't. Obviously,
they realize that you're an actual human being, and there's a thing called empathy. It's not all about trying to bring a person's name down. I've never understood that because I've always had empathy for everybody. And this is the second Oklahoma fan backing you up. I second this. This is from Shoelace Sooner. Appreciate your donation, buddy. I second this. Tim is a good dude. We have some great conversations about OU and USC. So there you go. That tells the story right there.
Well,
I'm not even going to
read. I think another
give me touchdown. If you want to put some stuff about me or college football, then I'll start reading them. But otherwise, thank you for the donation. But bye.
I think the other problem is a lot of these fans are young and they don't understand, and Alabama's
immaturity.
I mean,
yeah.
If you've been a Bama fan for 12 years, you think all we've done is won. You don't remember the Shula. You don't remember DeBow. I mean, and that's the problem. And people forget that just because you're on top of the mountain today, don't mean you're going to be on top of that mountain tomorrow. And, I mean, I like teasing it. I'll tease everybody on this, about records against each other and back and forth. But I respect all teams that's not Tennessee and Auburn. I mean, I do. And I mean, everybody has their great wins and everybody has their terrible losses.
Look, everybody's going to have a couple ex-girlfriends that are going to stalk them on the internet. Apparently one of mine found me. So that's just the way it is.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
I must have done her a long time ago, and she just kind of got angry and still can't get over it. So.
Apparently, Pitt fans don't like him either because John Waffle H2P said Pitt isn't good. So
he's probably talking about me because I got into it with John Waffle because one day Waffle tried to tell me that Pitt was a blue blood for 30 minutes. And
what? Look, listen. Let's get that cleared out. Teams have been deemed a blue blood, and that's it. There is no more earning your way or this and that. Either you are or you're not. And guess what? It really doesn't make that much of a difference. It's just a term like the pioneers that have been very successful in college football. I know you want Pitt to be that because I guess it's some type of prestige to you, but really it's not. It's a term. Just get over it. Blue bloods. Same thing with basketball. Kansas, Kentucky, Duke, who else? UCLA. There's a few others. Either you are or you're not, and there will never be any more. There's no more teams that are going to be added to the Blue Bloods. That's just how it is.
Tony Altimore actually made it pretty easy to sort out Blue Bloods. Look at AP weeks ranked all time, and you'll see all the familiar names. You'll see Oklahoma, Texas, Alabama, you'll see SC, you'll even see Nebraska up there, and they're in danger of losing it because of recent results. But it's exactly who you would expect.
Hey, I just got a form submission from the website, from our website, from goldenbluedew.com, a form submission, and it's from, I'm not going to say their name because they've got their name on here, but they'll know who they are. So, but they're a Texas fan. And they're saying this: every line on this game has Texas defeating WVU. Well, that's fine. That's where we live full time. However, I think WVU has a better quarterback, better offensive line, better defensive line, better running backs, and a decent defensive secondary. Young, yes, but learning quick. I predict WVU to win by 3 to 10 points.
I like it. Oh, by the way, you have a Houston supporter as well, Tim. You know what? I think one key also is I think West Virginia needs to start Jacoby Spells. It is time. He proved himself in the second half of the Virginia Tech game. Ajayi slipped and fell, almost cost a touchdown. Luckily, Grant Wells can't throw a deep pass because there was nobody around him because their cornerback slipped. In comes Jacoby Spells, and he gives us a pick six. We haven't had a pick six in over a year. So the comparison is slip up and should have been a touchdown. Luckily, Grant Wells sucked. Or a dude that comes on the field and gives us a zoned. We were playing zone at the time, so he read the quarterback, pick six. Start Jacoby Spells. Our defense will immediately be better against the pass, especially with Charles Woods injured.
Related to that, why did it take so long to figure out that Donaldson was a good running back? I mean,
you know what? It surprised me because nobody was talking about him in the offseason, including myself. Everybody was talking about Mathis and who was the guy from Clemson there for a while?
Huh? Oh, yeah, Dixon.
Yeah,
Dixon.
Yeah,
That's
Dixon, Lynn J. Dixon. But then he left, so it was all, Mathis, and then, maybe Johnson was – nobody was talking about Dawson, and here's why. The dude – seriously, the dude was recruited as a tight end, first of all. Second of all, what is he, 6'3", 220 pounds? He's not supposed to be a running back. He really is not supposed to be a running back, but for whatever, he has the shiftiness of a running back. Johnson is the speedy guy. Mathis is our power guy. And Donaldson is our Steve Slayton guy. He's got the Barry Sanders, Steve Slayton wiggle to him, and people cannot bring him down. I have never seen a guy that big, number one, be a running back, other than the fridge and maybe Jerome Bettis. He wasn't that tall, but the dude he's not a boulder. He's a shifty guy. It's unbelievable.
No, I watched.
Yeah, he's really a big guy. His size are the size of my waist. Each one of his size. He's so big. And the way he runs, it's like he can step over players. It's like when they go in for a tackle to take his legs out from under him, he just steps over them.
Well, if you watch the Pitt game, he was averaging over 10 yards a carry.
Yes.
I mean, but he only got like 5 or 6 handoffs. I mean, it was just, I was screaming at the screen. I was like, what are you doing? Put that guy in. He was the run game. And
now you know why West Virginia fans are so mad that we didn't go for it on 4th and guaranteed. That's what I call it. It was 4th and 6 inches. You're averaging 10 yards a carry. Okay, you want a quarterback sneak it. JT doesn't want to do it. Garrett Green would have gone there in the blaze of glory. He wants that opportunity. We would have gotten it. Our offensive line was pushing their defensive line off the ball a good 2 or 3 yards. Like, that would have been an automatic first down. I will never understand that decision as long as I live. But to this game, and it's crazy to say because Texas has Bijan Robinson. It's not like we're playing a team that doesn't have a running back. They have one of the best running backs in the nation. But West Virginia still has the edge in the running game. Number one, our offensive line is better. And number two, C.J. Donaldson has come out of nowhere. He is the number one running back in the Big 12 as far as rushing yards. And right now his total average is still 7.3 yards a carry. It's amazing.
Now, did you guys read on Twitter today and that about Texas is having turmoil right now? Yeah. They didn't say who it is. They suspended a player because they're fighting over that fumble in the last game.
Oh.
And they're throwing blame. And my other question is, not only are they under turmoil, but Texas plays Oklahoma next week.
Yes.
So are they looking at West Virginia? Well, they lost to Pitt. They lost to Kansas. Are they overlooking West Virginia thinking about the Oklahoma game?
I don't even think it's that. I don't even think here. All you have to do is look at last year for the example. Okay. So Texas should have beaten Oklahoma last year. Should they not have, guys? Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yes. They had a nice lead. They swapped out. They put in Caleb Williams and Oklahoma come back, win. And they let that game beat them over and over and over and over. Now, luckily for Texas, after the Alabama game, they had UTSA. But even UTSA was in that game till the fourth quarter. They had chances to pull off an upset. And then the following game, I'm telling you, for whatever reason, this coaching group cannot get losses out of these kids' head. And from your example that you just said right there, they're still blaming each other for the fumble. Get over it. The game is over. It's in the past. If you're still blaming, if you're still pointing, you're going to lose again because your head is still in that game. So not only is the loss from Alabama still in their heads, now the loss to Texas Tech is still in their heads. And then on top of that, they have Oklahoma after. This is going to show everybody Steve Sarkisian is not ready for the toxic atmosphere of Texas. He's just not ready. Answering to the boosters 3 times a week and now dealing with players that blame each other.
And here's the other question. Ewers is in question. Some think he's coming back. Some think they ain't. Well, do they think, well, if he's not 100%, we just hold him till the Oklahoma game because we really need him in the Oklahoma game? So, I mean, that's another question. Do they bring Ewers back early or is he going to be benched? Because if Ewers plays, this is going to totally change this game. It's going to be a really tight game. It's going to be a really good game. Without Ewers, I don't think West Virginia has to worry that much. I think it'll be a good game, but I think West Virginia has it.
This is how I went with the score with Ewers and without. West Virginia scores 35. That's my score. They're scoring 35. Okay, that's it. Both games, Hudson or Ewers, doesn't matter. Now, if Ewers is in, I have Texas winning either 38-35 or like a 41 or 42-35. With Hudson Card, I think West Virginia wins 35-24. I do think that Ewers is the difference. And I just think he's such a talent that, that gives them the slight edge to pull out a squeaker of a win over West Virginia.
So you're going to give Ewers 2 touchdowns.
Yes.
You're going to go from 24 to 38 at least. So, I mean,
absolutely.
At least a 2 touchdowns. And I could see that. I mean, Ewers will make a big difference.
Yeah.
I'll give you a score update real quick. 4 minutes to go in the first quarter, and BYU's beating Utah State 14-7.
They should wallop them, right?
To say they better win. Yeah.
Yeah, they should.
But BYU's in danger. I'm telling you, BYU's looking like they're letting teams beat them more than once as well. And if this is a tight ball game, then that could be a bad sign for BYU. Dennis M., thank you for the $5 donation, says, why can't we take Washington State and Oregon State too? I don't get why these two are being left out. Well, here's the thing, and he's going back to, if the Pac-12 does get picked apart, Oregon, Washington, Cal, and Stanford are going to the Big Ten. Colorado, Utah, Arizona, and Arizona State to the Big 12. And the reason Oregon State and Washington State wouldn't be added to the Big 12 is, number one, their location. Now, if they were a big brand like their brother or sister college, whatever you want to call it, Oregon and Washington, then yeah, they would bring them on. But they don't bring in the money like those two bigger brands. So their remote location, plus the fact that they don't bring in the money like the bigger schools, their value isn't there to add them. And you got to keep this in mind. For a TV deal, you can't just add teams to add teams, because all that will do is, you're not bumping up the price of the pie. You're just having to split it between more. So teams are actually getting paid less. So you got to add teams that add more to the pie so that people aren't having to take less of a slice. And I don't think that Oregon State and Washington State add anything to the pie, and you just be splitting it up more. And
true. I
begrudgingly say that because I really do like Oregon State and Washington State. I think they have given great parity to the Pac-12. They've given USC nightmares. They almost did it again last week. They've been a great ingredient to the Pac-12. You could say the same thing with Washington State. I mean, go back to the Mike Leach days. They had some really, really good teams. What was that quarterback that he had that everybody liked? He had a nice, what was it, Fu Manchu?
Oh, man.
He's a backup for the Jaguars. I can't think of his name.
Yeah. Gardner
Minshew.
Minshew, there you go.
That dude played the Huskies, but he was the dude who actually gave me worries, but we ended up beating him. I think it's kind of sucky because in a world where I know the money is kind of the end-all be-all, in a world where that doesn't matter, well, agricultural schools, lower attendance in the middle of nowhere, gee, that sounds an awful lot like Kansas State. And I would argue Wazoo and Oregon State have a better football history than – this isn't me knocking on Kansas State, but people don't realize Oregon State and Washington State have some really good football and good bowl wins in their past. If I'm not mistaken, I think Oregon State's even got a Heisman winner.
Yes. And people forget that Ocho Cinco went there, Chad Johnson, Oregon State.
Tim can probably correct me, and Pickles could probably correct me, but in the last 20 or 25 years, every team in the Pac-12 at one point in a season has been ranked at least number 5.
Wow.
People don't think about that.
Yeah. Wow.
Really?
In the past 20, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's impressive. To our point, John Waffle H2P, thank you for the $4.99 donation, says, I made a video about Washington State, Oregon State, and their irrelevancy. I recommend anyone to go check it out. I wouldn't say irrelevant. I would just say monetization as far as bringing money to the vibe, because that's the biggest thing that people can't separate. Like, man, have you seen the teams that Washington State and Oregon State have fielded? No, they're not good, on a year in and year out basis, but they've had stretches of greatness. They've had good years and bad years. That's why I'm saying they're not irrelevant, but they don't bring in the money. They just don't. And I don't know if it's because they didn't put enough money into their facilities, or if it's just the raw fact of they don't have a big enough fan base. I'd have to look into the numbers on that one. Although, if I'm not mistaken, Washington State actually has one of the bigger fan bases in the Pac-12, correct?
Yeah.
It's top half for sure.
Yeah. So Oregon State's not for sure. So
Well,
I'm not sure about Washington State and the money thing.
Everybody's talking about the Big 12. Everybody talks about the Big 12 going to take the four corner schools. That's a real mistake. Taking Colorado is a mistake. You need Utah. Utah is going to bring you more money than Colorado. Colorado is a dumpster fire.
Right.
And I know it's only going to affect now, but I don't know. Did you guys see what happened to Air Force today?
Yep. Probation. Yeah,
big time. And they did less than what Arizona State did. So when Arizona State's come down, it's going to be a lot.
I got a message from somebody saying Arizona State was placed on, I think it was either 2 or 3 years probation. I thought it was you, Todd Guy.
Well, that was Air Force. They haven't done.
Okay.
Yeah, that's Air Force. They lost scholarships. They're on a 2-year or a 3-year probation. Yeah, they got hammered today because of COVID, and they did.
I was about to say any offense that was committed during COVID year is going to be 10 times more.
Yeah.
No,
I'm making examples out of people.
Honestly, you talk about.
I think it should be the same. That's just my opinion.
I really don't know. The Big 12 needs 2 schools from Utah, from the state. So that's.
The only reason I disagree with that is because the Holy War would bring money. That would be one of the higher tier rivalries. I think it would. Okay, so the rivalries that we have in the Big 12, West Virginia doesn't even have one. So I mean, if we're going to go on that, I would say, if the ACC does go under, or we got to wait until 2036, Pitt is a must. That would be a big time moneymaker for the Big 12, even if it's just that one game. Seriously, that's how much money they would make the Big 12. But current rivalries. Anybody? Kansas State, Oklahoma State. That's out the window. Bedlam's done. I don't know if y'all heard about that the other day. Sometimes they keep out of conference rivalries going, but it's done. TCU Baylor, maybe. Who's Texas Tech's biggest rivalry?
Everyone in Texas, it was always playing the Longhorns or A&M, so all of those are gone.
Yeah. See, that's the one knock that I have on the Big 12 is the lack of rivalries. Iowa State's rival is Iowa, who's in the Big 10. So I think Utah would be a massive addition to the Big 12. That would be your marquee rivalry game for the Big 12, and it would make them a lot of money. I think Utah is a must. Now, the thing that I have an issue with is Colorado for sure. I don't think we should add Colorado. They're historic. They're not just bad; they're historically bad. They don't really bring you any money. I mean, they say you're getting the Denver TV market. Not really. Denver's a pro sports town. So you're left with Arizona and Arizona State, right? So it wouldn't make sense to bring in Arizona without Arizona State. And it wouldn't make sense to bring in Arizona State without Arizona. So you need to bring those two in together because of that rivalry. So do you stay at an odd number, which is fine? They've done away with the division rule. Or do you look somewhere else? And if you do, who could be that other team? Not Colorado. I am against Colorado. That would not be good for the Big 12. But do you stay at odd number, or can you find somebody else?
I think all the people talking about teams like Memphis, Washington State's a better ad than Memphis, despite what people may think.
I would say San Diego State is a better ad than Memphis.
That's the other one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But personally, I think either San Diego State or stay at an odd number. Eventually, the ACC is probably going to get picked over. So GBD, just got to be patient. We'll get those East Coast teams for you, buddy. But
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the other
Okay, let
positive
me ask you this.
Colorado-
Let me ask you this. When that does happen, okay, let's say the Big 12 gets 4 teams out of the ACC. Who should they get? 4 teams. Keep in mind the biggest of the brands. So take off Clemson, take off Florida State, North Carolina, Virginia, even Miami, and
What? See, that's
whoever else. Well, those 5 off the board. 4 teams, those 5 off the board. Who's the 4
Virginia
must
Tech
get?
and Pitt?
I would say Pitt. I would say NC State. I would say, despite where they are right now, Virginia Tech has a great history and a great potential. So I think those right there would be the top. I think Georgia Tech would bring in the Atlanta area, bring in something out of the state of Georgia, and a lot of academics, a lot of research. So there's a lot of good things about Georgia Tech. I like them. Some people don't.
If you want to be the hoop superpower, then, if you're taking 4 corners, or maybe you have Arizona, Duke is the other big ad, and you can be the basketball conference.
It's just not enough.
John Waffle, just show your face real quick, buddy.
Yeah, I get the money is not what football is. It's pennies on the dollar by comparison, but
yeah.
There is a certain prestige to be in the conference that everybody is watching for big time basketball.
Well, and Duke will bring up your academics tremendously. Having Duke and Georgia Tech would be a good take. I know Georgia Tech really hasn't done nothing since the 90s, but they're in a market.
Yeah.
They could be good. They got the potential to be good if they get the right coach.
That Deion Sanders coming in, going to save Georgia Tech.
Think about this, guys. I'm going to give you 4 teams, and I want to see what y'all think about this, okay? 4 teams. I think these are the 4 teams that you get, okay? First 2 teams, no-brainer. You got to get Pitt and Virginia Tech. Those are massive rivalries with West Virginia, and Virginia Tech and Pitt, they're decent rivals to each other as well.
Yeah.
So you have like a triangle of rivalry right there. That's a great get. All right. So get Pitt, get Virginia Tech. The other 2, I would say Louisville. You need to get Louisville. Louisville is a bigger brand. I know they haven't had great teams, but they've poured a ton of money into their football stadium. It's gotten better and better and better every year. They're actually pouring more money into it this year. So at least they're trying, even though their football product on the field isn't good right now, they're trying to increase their value, and I think they've done that. So the 3 no-brainers for me, like not even debatable, Pitt, Virginia Tech, Louisville. It's that 4th spot that I'm kind of back and forth on, okay? And I'm going back and forth between NC State and, believe it or not, Syracuse, okay? And
really,
the reason I have Syracuse on here is, number 1, they do have, even though they haven't shown support because Syracuse has been so bad, they do have the largest fan base in the ACC. Tony Altimore did the numbers, and not counting Notre Dame, Syracuse, not just I'm talking football fans, number 1, over 3 million that identify as Syracuse football fans. So they have the fan support. And if you go back, I know my brain is kind of back in the early 2000s and late 90s, but if you go back to the Big East days, Syracuse, West Virginia was a great rivalry. Syracuse and Pitt still like to play each other. Syracuse and Virginia Tech still like to play each other. Louisville's kind of the odd man out, but I put them in because of their brand strength. So Syracuse, Virginia Tech, and Pitt are in because they would make money because of the rivalry games. Louisville, because of their brand strength. NC State, I wouldn't have a problem with NC State. If you swapped Syracuse for NC State, I wouldn't have a problem with that. That's where it becomes debatable. But the 3 that are not debatable, Louisville, Pitt, and Virginia Tech.
Yeah, Todd Guy had a good point that I put a lot of weight on, which is, Georgia Tech is in a big market. And when we're talking about these moves, I wish it was really about things like rivalries and traditions and history, but it's really about money and what the media partners are going to want. And that's where I look at Syracuse. And yes, they do have a lot of fans, and they get some good games, but I just don't know if you're looking between Atlanta and Syracuse, upstate New York, what's Fox and what's ESPN going to really want? And I think that's going to be the big deal. But
that's a good point.
I'd take them. I mean, if it makes sense for Fox, I'm all about it. That's fine with me. But you guys, I got to bounce. But y'all have a good one. Thanks for including me on this deal, and I'll be rooting for the Nears, baby. You got to horns down. We got to beat another one. Beat them down.
I got you. Hold on. Let me take full screen real quick because I want to do my.
You guys go take care of Oklahoma State.
I got to do my reveal, even though you already know that I have it. It's still, you know,
It's gonna be a game. Oh yeah.
Always.
There you go.
Always. Love it.
On this week, even when you can't see it, always know I'm wearing it. Always. Always.
All right. See you guys.
See you, buddy.
See you later.
Even if I have to throw it in the washer and walk around without a shirt for about 2 hours on Texas Hate Week, that's what we do. Florida Gator, I'm convinced Florida Gator could possibly be the same person as you know who. Anyways, let's not spend too much time on that. John Marzula, thank you for the $4.99 donation. I agree, GBD. Basketball may not bring in as much cash, but it too fuels rivalries that would bring in money across the sports. Yes, no, I agree with that. Really. Now, I don't think that basketball drives this, but think about it like this. Let's say two teams are, even. Like they would bring similar amount of money. Their brand's about similar. What could be the tiebreaker? Basketball. Basketball could be the tiebreaker. And that's why I like Syracuse, because they have good rivalries with West Virginia and Virginia Tech and Pitt. And they would bring a lot of money in basketball. I mean, Syracuse, as far as basketball goes, they have one of the biggest fan bases in the entire nation. I mean, they use half a football stadium for their basketball team. I mean, they put on a regular basis between 20 and 30,000 people in the Carrier Dome to watch the Orange. So, yeah.
But
hey guys, I'm getting out of here too. It was nice seeing you guys. I'll catch you guys later.
All right, Tim. That was Tim's last word right there. There you go. I didn't say
basketball money.
So I'll just label it that.
Basketball money goes to the NCAA, not necessarily the conference. Conference gets a small percentage if they make the NCAA tournament. They get a percentage for so many years. But,
I'm talking like
I don't know.
Ticket sales and stuff like that.
Tony Altimore broke it down. It's basically, if you broke all the sports money into $1, 85 cents is football, 15 cents is basketball. The tournament money is, it's like marginal, but it pretty much is what fuels the NCAA. Going back real quick, he's talking about Georgia Tech and the Atlanta market might be the tiebreaker. Georgia Tech's got the same problem Colorado does. They're in a huge town that either has other teams or just not enough interest.
John Marzula, thank you for the donation, says, example, Pitt, West Virginia was a phenomenal basketball game for 15 years. Yeah, but we agree with you on that 100%. It's a great rivalry in all sports across the board. What we're saying is, as far as money that goes in to the conference pocket and into the university's pocket, it's very, very small compared to football. I would use basketball as a tiebreaker, and that's it. You can't, and that's why Kansas doesn't really move the needle for anybody. A lot of Kansas fans are like, hey, our basketball is the best in the nation. That may very well be, and it might make money for you. Kansas brings in more revenue for themselves more than West Virginia, but they don't make more money for the conference or for, TV viewership more than West Virginia. And that's where the difference is between basketball and football.
And what some people don't know, GBD, is, let's talk Kansas a minute. Kansas makes $5 million a year off of basketball. And you know how big it is in Kansas. So you stop and think, if Kansas is making $5 million, what is an Alabama making? What is a Florida making? And what are they paying the coaches? Most basketball programs are in deficit. They're not really money makers for a lot of schools.
They just exist.
Yeah.
Kansas football makes more money than Kansas basketball every single year.
That's a fact.
Oh, yeah. No. I'm just saying, though, people talking about basketball money. Well, it's not really there. I mean, Kansas only makes $5 million. And they're one of the best. So, these other schools are losing money on basketball.
I think Sergeant Pickles' point in that was, okay, as great of a basketball brand as Kansas is, and it should be, people think that they make a ton of money. Kansas football, which before this year was in the crapper, makes more money than their elite basketball program. That is the difference between the money that basketball brings and the money that football brings.
Yep.
And I think
So
everybody
you
on
can't use
here
that
would
to
agree,
determine conference realignment. You just can't. I use it as a tiebreaker. That's it.
except for this year, Kansas has probably been the worst Power 5 football program over the last 10 years.
Yep. Because Vanderbilt had James Franklin for a couple of years, and they actually made bowls 2 years. So, yeah.
So you're talking the worst Power 5 is still making more money than their powerful basketball, which has to be in the top 5.
They just won a national championship last year.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they probably still made
a lot of
more
people
money.
don't realize about the national championship is that's pennies compared to even making a bowl. Winning the national championship in college basketball is pennies compared to making an average or below average bowl game. Making any bowl game will make the university and conference way more money than winning the national championship in college basketball. That is a fact. It's sad, but it's true.
Now, have you guys seen the breakdown that they're trying to do? And I haven't seen the final one yet. You're talking playoffs. Let's talk about college football playoffs a second.
Yeah.
Have you seen how they want to divide that up? It's not going to be.
You're talking about the revenue?
Yeah, college.
No.
The football playoff right now is a half a billion dollars.
Yep.
When it goes to 12 teams, it's already set for $1 billion until it gets renegotiated. Then it's going to be a lot bigger.
Yeah, it's going to be probably around $4 billion.
They're not doing that $1 billion. There's 10 conferences. Everybody gets $100 million. They're going to give a small percentage. They're going to divide it by 10, and everybody's going to get a piece. And then you're going to get extra on having teams in it. And then you're going to have extra as you move on.
Right.
So a conference like the Big Ten puts, 3 teams in, the SEC puts 3 teams in, and we move on. We're going to actually be making a lot more money than another conference that don't go very far.
Right. Exactly. That's one thing that people don't take into consideration. If a team makes it out of the first round, they go to the second round, they're making more money for their conference. Then they get to the semifinals and national championship. That's more and more money. So you can't just go by one round. I mean, that's the beauty of expanding the playoffs is you're literally creating more money for yourselves. And that's one of the reasons why the SEC wants playoff expansion. It's not because, we want to allow the other conferences to get their fair share. No, they want as many of their teams possible in the playoffs and to make as much money as possible. And what makes sense? Expanding the playoffs so there's more spots for the SEC to grab. And you know what? That's genius. I have nothing bad to say about that. That's the smart thing to do. I would do the same thing if I were the SEC.
Yeah, because we know what 2 teams bring us. So now we know what 3 teams or 4 teams could possibly bring us. And with winning,
and that's just with 2 games. Imagine, getting 3 or 4 teams in and they get past multiple rounds. You're talking upwards, possibly 10 games. Well, maybe not 10, maybe like 6 games.
But think about it this way also. What is this going to do for number 5 through number 8, those teams? Because they're going to get an extra game at home. So they're going to get all that revenue for a home game. And think what that's worth. I mean, it's going to be a playoff game, so the ticket prices are going to be a lot higher than any regular season.
Man, yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's going to be a big deal. So these, honestly, teams 5 through 8 are actually going to make out pretty good because 1 through 4 is sitting home, but 5 through 8 is making money because, their fans are in the stadium. That could be what, $3 to $5 million payday for that school at least between concessions and tickets. And, you could look at.
So as far as money wise, you might rather want to get 5 through 8 instead of 1 through 4. Wow. Hey, what's on your mind, John Waffle?
I'm just curious, how is the structure going to work for the 12-team playoff? I mean, is it going to be like 5 teams SEC, 5 teams Big Ten, and then the leftovers?
Well, one thing that we know for sure,
6 champions.
and this is pre whatever conference, because the conferences could shrink down to 3, 4, whatever. and it's already been, firmly let everybody know type of situation. If that happens, then we'll renegotiate as far as, automatic bids. Right now, it's the 6 highest conference champions automatically get in there. Now, if it gets whittled down to 4, then they'll move it to 5 because they're not letting more than one group of 5 champion in. They're just not. So that all depends on, how many conferences we end up having. But right now, 6 automatic bids, and you're going to get the 5 Power 5 and then the highest group of 5. That's the plan right there. So beyond that, it's basically going to be the next 6 highest ranked teams. So if the next 6 highest ranked teams are all SEC teams, then you have 7 SEC teams in there. So I guess it just depends on how good your conference is going that year and how the AP poll views them, or the college football playoff committee. Now that shows you my explanation as far as why I get so upset with these rankings. Now, does it necessarily matter right now? I guess not, but it does, set up for the future. So if they keep going on, this one makes more money, so we'll rank them. They have a better record, but we don't like their brand as much, so we keep them out. That's, if they keep that up with the playoffs, with expansion, and we see 5 or 6 or 4 or 5 SEC teams, whenever there should be only like 3, because other conferences do have better teams, but their brands aren't there good. That's the biggest issue that I could have with the playoffs, favoring certain conferences because, they would make you more money. So you're not going on, how good they are. You're going by how much money they make you. That's my only fear with this playoff expansion.
Now, the one good thing, though, is 7 places are going to pretty much be locked up because you're going to have your 6 conference champions. And then you can pretty much guarantee with the top 12, Notre Dame's going to be in there probably at least 8 out of 10 years with their schedule and that.
And this year would be one of those 2 years that they wouldn't make it.
So that leads to a problem, though. So let's say the Conference USA champion is higher ranked than the second best Big Ten team. I mean, is that really fair?
No, it's not. But that's not what it's going to be about. And that's the problem that I have with this is it's not going to be about fairness. It's going to be about, we can get away with ranking this team this high. They're going to try to figure out what teams that make the most money that they can get away with that wouldn't seem totally outrageous to get them into the playoffs. So let's say a 2-loss Kentucky. This is just an example, purely hypothetical. A 2-loss Kentucky versus a 1-loss Washington State. And Washington State does not win their conference championship, okay? And it comes down to that spot. Well, they're going to take Kentucky because Kentucky is going to make them more money because, it's the SEC. More Kentucky fans will show up. So they're going to take a team like Kentucky over Washington State. Even though Washington State might be the better team, they can get away with that because Kentucky's in the SEC. So there's a lot of built-in unseen excuses that they have in there that they're going to be able to put the teams they really want in there over teams that they don't want in there.
I think this system actually fixes a lot of that. Not perfect, but all of those overranked teams, like let's say, for example, this year's Texas A&M magics their way into making a 12-team playoff. If they're really, overranked, they're going to get smacked in the first round and everyone will call it an upset. But it's kind of self-correcting because they're going to settle this on the field in a lot of ways. And a team that's truly overranked is not going to make it 3 rounds. They're going to get knocked out. And yeah, I know you could say, oh, well, the conference still made the money off that first spot that should have gone to someone else. But in a weird way, despite the greed of certain conferences, we can get more teams in. This is actually more incentive for teams to stay where they are. I was thinking specifically the PAC, because your pathway is now 10 teams, or you're going to go to a 14 or 16 team Big 12 and have to, fight out with everybody in there. It might not be the deciding factor, but if it's real close money-wise, you have a better shot of getting that end of season, payout by being in a conference with less teams. There's more security in it too.
I'll tell
My
you what.
biggest
Here's my
issue would
thought
be
on this.
getting
Here's my
to
thought
that
on
matchup.
this.
I understand that it gets settled on the field, and it would be an upset, and Texas A&M gets knocked out. But to me, they shouldn't have been there in the first place. That's the best way that I can explain it. Go
I
ahead, Joey.
think the sooner the playoffs come, the better, in my opinion. Here's why. So, like this year in the Big 12, we've got so much parity. The best team in the Big 12 and the worst team in the Big 12, they're so close together that the worst team, which is West Virginia right now, could probably beat the best team in the Big 12. Maybe 3 times out of 10. So could they upset them? Yeah, because there's a lot of parity in the Big 12 right now. And so if we had a playoff system with 12 teams were a guaranteed conference champion, that would be better for the Big 12 this year, because I don't think anybody in the Big 12 is going to go undefeated. Oklahoma State's the only team left undefeated. They could lose to Baylor this week very easy. If not, they still got to play Oklahoma State. They still got to play Texas. They still got to play West Virginia, TCU. So Oklahoma State is going to lose a game at some point. That's going to probably knock the Big 12 out of the playoffs this year. But if we had the format in, the new format, they would be in. The Big 12 champion would be in.
Yeah.
Now,
That's
I
one
think
of the
we
two
could
reasons
win with
that I
an
like
8
Joey.
team.
One of the
Right.
2 reasons that I like.
I think we
the
could win with an
automatic
8 team.
bid and then the parity in the first round.
But the problem with the 12 team, and this is going to cause headache, and nobody's really addressing it right now. Let's say this year's the 12 team playoff, right? And let's say you got Alabama or Georgia, I don't care who you pick to win the SEC. Let's say you got Ohio State or Michigan, either one, they win the Big Ten. They're going to be 1 or 2. And let's say USC runs the table and they're number 3. But now Alabama's better, so they're ranked 4. And, you got Ohio State or Michigan, the loser, they're ranked 5. Now, what happens? The number 4 conference champion gets a bye. The number 5 gets set. So what happens if number 4 are 9 and 10 and really equal? Who gets the bye and who has to go on the road? That is a big difference. I mean, you think about the difference between sitting home and not playing or going on the road. That could really hurt somebody.
Yeah, I agree with that.
That's why I said
I guess it would depend on how far they would knock them down. They could end up still between 5 and 8 and host a playoff game, which that's not a bad consolation. But I get what you're saying.
Yeah, no, if they're in 5 and 8, that's fine because they're at home. But if they got knocked down to not, you know what I'm saying? If they're down there where if you don't get the 4 spot, you're going to be number 9. That's a big difference, especially if you're in Alabama and you're going to be number 9, and the number 8 team is Michigan. You're going to go to Ann Arbor in December.
Oof.
You see what I'm saying? I mean, it's stuff like that could happen and will happen. You make one of us Southern teams go up to, Wisconsin, Michigan, Ohio State, the dead of winter, or even Iowa, the dead of winter one time. That's going to make a difference.
Yeah,
I got to say, you're starting to win me over on the 16-team playoff.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the NCAA tournament in a way, though. Like the best comes out, whoever.
That's true.
Yeah,
And that's why I said I've accepted. If it's the same 4 teams in the semis, so be it. I've come to terms with that. Give me the parity in the first round. I was going to ask you, Joey, what do you think about the concept of home playoff games? Like Jeff just mentioned, in the Big House in Columbus. Maybe Wisconsin can host one. These teams up north hosting a playoff game, and we have a nice, cold, possibly snowy playoff game. Like, that excites me.
Yeah. That does me too. I mean, that's football. That's what football is. I mean, it may be a disadvantage for a team if, say, Miami turns good and Miami's in playoffs and they got to go and play in Wisconsin in December. That may not be too much fun, but it is football, and so I think it'd be great. But that another thing too. That's why I say an 18 playoff would probably be better than a 12 team, and you wouldn't have you would still have, if you still did the home team thing, you could still have the same problem, I guess. But it's not really a problem, like we say. I love it.
Yeah.
The problem I have with the 12 team though is it's too much of an advantage to have a bye week. That bye week, your players are not getting hurt. You're not getting called for a stupid targeting foul in the second.
But I still like it because it brings back the importance of conference championships. That's one of the big things that I like about the bye week is you're discouraging any teams from taking a game off. And that's what everybody worries about if you do expand the playoffs. So it's expand the playoffs, and now some teams can take some games off because they know they're in. Well, how do we do that? Let's keep an incentive in there where, if they're one of the 4 best champions, they get a bye. So that makes the conference champion important. That's what I like about the bye week.
Okay, so what if we go to 16 teams and we say the top 4 conference champions, they get home games and all the other games go to bowl games? It'll still give you the incentive because you want a home game. You know what I'm saying? You're still getting a home game. You're just not getting a bye, and that's getting 4 more teams in the playoffs, so a little more parity.
All right.
More games, which is always good. But
as long as you're keeping incentives for those conference championships and discouraging taking a game off, yeah, that would work. So we've been going on for about an hour and a half, guys. I got to, even though my kids don't go to school in person, I still got to get them up and get them registered for the online stuff and all that stuff. So still the same schedule, just without the driving. So I'm going to wrap this up. But as usual, let's go around the board and give everybody our last word. We'll go with John Waffle, the latecomer. What's your last word for tonight?
So, we beat West Virginia. We're gonna win the ACC again, and hail to Pitt.
There you go. Sergeant Pickles, last word, buddy.
Well, it's nice to see my birth state of Montana well represented behind you, although those filthy Bobcats are on the wall. I did find something interesting today. So last season, Jay Kaner puts up 455 yards on the vaunted UCLA Bruins in a 40-37 win for Fresno State. The coach of that team, Kalen DeBoer. That's all I got, and go Dogs.
Great job, buddy. Great job. Todd Guy, what's your last word of the day?
I'm going to do something I never do. My show, starting next Tuesday on my channel, we're going to start playing Sports Jeopardy. And we're going to play for 2 weeks to kind of get the kinks out. And then starting on the 3rd week, every week we're going to bring somebody in from the audience to play against all the members. And if that person wins that night, they're going to get a prize.
Nice. I like it.
You get a chance to, if you're not one of the regulars, you're going to get a chance to come in. And if you can beat all the other contestants at just that one night, you're going to get a prize. So it'll be interesting to see, if somebody can come in and beat who I'm going to have on the panel.
Nice. I like it, man. That's a great idea. Good job.
But have a great night, guys.
You too, man. Thanks for stopping by. Let me go to double. Joey.
So I will say this. I'm going to do something that I don't normally do either, and that's there's a channel called Hurricane Central, and the guy that does that channel, he hosts on Mark Rogers the post game show for Miami, him and Traveling Fools, and they're live right now. So if everybody's looking for a place to go, I'm gonna post the link to that in the chat. Go in there and tell him that Joey Foster sent you over, and say hi at least, and give him a like button for me.
And then tell him to come and
go in there and just say, yeah, and then tell him to come and sub to them. Actually, they do sub here. So if you go over and just give him a thumbs up and tell him Joey Foster sent you over, I'd appreciate it. I'm gonna go in there right after this. So, but they're good people. The Traveling Fools has done a lot for this channel, so giving him a shout out and helping him out a little bit is a great thing. So
nice.
All right, man. That's it from me.
Good job, Joey. Quick reminder before we get out of here. Now is a great time, probably the best time, other than a month ago. The sooner you join Patreon, the better. So right now, not after Saturday, right now is the best time to join Patreon because we have a lot of perks, and we're still thinking of perks. We're trying to rack our brain and come up with the best perks possible for our Patreons. Joey, put the link to our Patreon if you can bring it up in the chat section. So we have a lot of, not just like one extra live show for Patreon. We have several live shows for Patreons, and we send you alert when we're going live. Sometimes we have them planned, sometimes we don't. Now we're redoing our merchandise store, but when we get that back up, you get discounts on the merchandise store. Excuse me. The biggest thing though is our score prediction contest, and what that is, every single week I pick out one college football game, and all my Patreons give me a guess, and it depends on how high of a Patreon they are, of who they think is going to win and the score. And the person that, number one, correctly predicts the winner and comes the closest to the score gets $20 every week. And I've awarded 3 prizes. Well, one person won it twice, so they won $40. I'm still figuring out this week. I'll announce the winner tomorrow, as promised. And then a $20 winner will be awarded tomorrow. And it keeps going. However, right now we are at $241 worth of pledges. Once we get to $300, I'm bumping the price from $20 to $50. And you can join Patreon for as low as $2 a month. So if you join at $2 a month, you get 2 guesses every single week for a chance to win 20. If you join at $5, that's 5 guesses a week, and so on and so forth. So the higher the Patreon, the more chances and guesses you get. We're only $59 away as far as pledges go from getting to $300, and the prize will be bumped $30 from $20 to $50. So if you're really good at guessing scores and you're confident in yourself, go check out Patreon. At least give us a trial run, a membership for a month. See if you like it. At least that's a month worth of guesses. Who knows? Maybe we win $20, $40, $60. Depends on how good you are at guessing scores. So yeah, go check out Patreon. A lot of great perks over there. Joey helps me out a lot. I greatly appreciate his help. But anyways, wrapping this up. Hope you guys have a good night. We'll be back live tomorrow. I have no idea what time. I know we're having a family movie night. We're doing a hocus pocus type of thing. So it's probably going to be a little bit earlier. That way the rest of the night I'll be spending with my family. So probably around 5 or 6, something like that. So stop on over to Go to Blue Dude and check out our live show. If you're a subscriber, hit the notification. That way you'll know exactly what time I go live. And if you're not a subscriber, hey, what are you waiting on? College football, that's literally all we do here. We do regular videos every day, live shows almost every day. Well, you know what? With Joey doing live shows on Sunday, we do live shows every day as well. So get your fix here on Go to Blue Dude. I'm out of here, guys. Y'all have a good night. I will see you tomorrow. I just don't know what time.